Have you ever wondered what the most popular cocktails are? Well, today you're in for a treat. I'm doing the 20 most popular cocktails according to the internet. Specifically, this is according to Difford's Guide. They publish a top 100 list. I'm doing the top 20. It's based on the views to their website. They get something like 10 million views per month, specifically in December, which is their most popular month. So I'm using that list to gauge what the most popular cocktails are. There's a few surprising ones in there. There's one that I've never heard of. Keep in mind, Difford's Guide is a English website. So there's a couple of cocktails that are probably a little bit more skewed to a UK audience, but it's a great list nonetheless. I'll be using mostly, well, 99% the specs that are on Difford's Guide. In saying that, Difford's Guide, it's always a little bit hit and miss for me. I know they do a lot of sponsored work. So for instance, they don't have Campari on their website. They've got some other brand, red Italian bitter. For instance, in that cocktail, when I'm making Negroni, I'll use Campari. But for the majority of the specs, the ratios and everything like that, I'm sticking with what's on Difford's Guide. I've talked enough for now. There's 20 cocktails to make, so I'm gonna get straight into it and yeah, hope you enjoy. Actually, before I get started on the cocktails, today's episode is sponsored by STB Bitters. STB, Steve the bartender, that's me. I'm creating a small line of cocktail bitters, very limited numbers available, so I'm only releasing it to those who are on the wait list. If you want to check out the link in the description below. The first one that I'll be launching with is a chocolate bitters, and I'm incredibly close to nailing the recipe. I'm very happy with it. It tastes absolutely delicious. Make sure you're on the waiting list if you're keen to grab a bottle. Anyways, let's get to the cocktails. So these particular specs for the Paloma are a little bit different. They're more of a UK version because the standard measures over there are 25 ml and 50 ml, but the rest of the recipes are normal. First ingredient, Blanco tequila, 50 ml, 1 2/3 ounce. Then we have pink grapefruit juice. I'm using ruby red, 25 ml, 5/6 of an ounce. Then we've got 7.5 ml, 1/4 ounce of agave syrup. Now, of course, if you want any of these recipes, then you can find a link to a PDF file with all the recipes. And then we've got fresh lime juice, 12.5 ml. What's that? 5/8? No, I don't know what that is. Just shy of half an ounce. Fresh lime juice. Now, if you want to, you can build this in the glass, but I'm going to shake it to combine and give it a little bit of a chill, considering I've got the agave syrup in there. Very brief shake. Said it was going to be brief. Salt rim glass. Now I've topped it up with ice. I'll add grapefruit soda. Roughly about 50 ml. That's probably a little bit more. Gentle stir to combine. Garnish with a lime wedge or a grapefruit wedge. They have the Paloma. Number 19 is the Cosmopolitan. So we're going to start with a citron vodka. I'm using Absolute, I believe Belvedere, Grey Goose, Kettle One, they all have citrus vodkas. Otherwise, you can use the vodka that you have on hand, express a few lemon oils in it and get some more of that lemon flavor into it, rather than buying a bottle specifically for the Cosmopolitan. Unless you love the Cosmo, then sure, go for it. So 45 ml, 1.5 ounces. And then Difford's recipe is 22.5 ml, 3/4 ounce of triple sec, in my case Cointreau, and cranberry juice. Same again, 22.5 ml, 3/4 ounce. Now make sure that you use 100% cranberry juice. In saying that, they're quite deceptive, these ocean spray guys. It says 100% vitamin C, but it kind of leads you to believe that this is 100% cranberry juice, where this is actually reconstituted cranberries, water, sugar, ascorbic acid, carrot extract, I think, as well. But that's what I have on hand. So do as I say, not as I do. 22.5 ml, 3/4 ounce. And then likewise, 22.5 ml, 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice. Get there. Plenty of ice, shake for 10 to 12. I have a feeling my glass is going to be a little bit too big for this one, but we'll see. Oh, not bad. pretty good. I feel that's how a Cosmo should be, that light pink blush to it, and not overly red from the cranberry juice. Now I've got a little bit of lemon peel, express the oils over the top, and then garnish with a lime wedge. Cosmo. Okay, cocktail number 18, the inappropriately named Screaming Orgasm. Now, calls for a plain vodka, but I'm using this one from Underground Spirits, a company in Canberra. It's like a caramel vodka. So this is a sweet drink as it is, but let's throw in some caramel vodka. I think it'll be delicious. So we have, actually in saying that, I was going to use Kahlua, which is probably more likely to be the original coffee liqueur of choice, but this does have this, I don't believe it has any added sugar or anything like that, but it does have like an inherent sweetness from the caramel. So I'm going to take out the Kahlua, partly because I just had a taste of it, and the first time I've tasted it in a long time, and it's crazy sweet. Plus I've had a pour on it for at least 5 years, so it's just been sitting there open for a long time. So I'm going to change it over to Mr. Black. So we have vodka, caramel vodka, coffee liqueur, amaretto, Bailey's, don't need the lemon, put that away. And then we have milk. In my case, I'm using oat milk, organic oat milk, and some cream. This is an easy recipe, all equal parts. It smells crazy. The caramel flavor on this vodka is potent, super flavorful. So vodka, coffee liqueur of your choice. I feel like there's plenty of sweet components in this, so I don't need to use a overly sweet coffee liqueur. But of course, that's probably what the original was, and you can if you like to. Amaretto liqueur. So the recipe was like 1 1/4 ounce, I think it was. I'm just doing an ounce of each because I think that's enough to fit in my glass. And the thing that scares me is, for some reason, this also had a speed pour on it, Bailey's. It's been sitting open in my cupboard for a long time. Firstly, I wasn't going to buy a whole bottle just to make this drink, because I'm probably not going to use Bailey's again, because this has been sitting there for 5 years. But the funny thing was, it tastes perfectly fine, which goes to show how much sugar is actually in Bailey's. 1 ounce, 30 ml of milk, oat milk in my case, and then thickened cream, heavy cream, full fat cream, whatever you like to call it. 1 ounce, 30 ml, add that in. Now you could serve this one as a blended cocktail if you like. I'm shaking it and serving it over pebble ice. Short shake, it's over pebble ice. It's all relatively low ABV ingredients. Don't need a fine strain, I'll just strain at the top. Top it up with more, oh that is thick. Top it up with more pebble ice. Garnishing with a straw. Recipe does call for chocolate powder to garnish, but I've got a dark chocolate lying around. So this is at like a 95% cacao. So it's like rich, bitter, not sweet, because I feel like there's enough sweetness in the cocktail itself. Oh, this looks decadent. It's been a while since I've done a creamy cocktail on the channel. There you have the Screaming Orgasm. Cheers. All right, next cocktail that I have is the Negroni, sitting at number 17. I feel like this deserves higher up the ranks, but it's not my list. Dry gin, Campari, sweet vermouth. Negroni, it's been featured on the channel a number of times, so I'm gonna fly through this one and measure out 30 ml, 1 ounce of dry gin. This is a newly released threefold dry gin available here in Australia. Hopefully will be available soon in other places around the world. If you're an importer in another country, Europe, UK, US, please get in touch. 30 ml, 1 ounce of Campari. I'm just doing the classic equal part recipe. Yeah, so most of our gins at threefold are contemporary style. This is sort of swaying more towards a classic dry gin with classic botanicals. We've got juniper, coriander, citrus, grains of paradise. Yeah, more of a classic dry style gin. And then we've got sweet vermouth. I'm using Coqui di Torino. And of course, you can make this in a mixing glass if you want. Stir it down, but in my case, I'm making it in the glass. Stirring it for a little bit. You can stir it longer, completely up to you. And then garnish with a veg of orange. With a veg of orange. There's a very simple, classic, one of my favorites, the Negroni. Sitting at number 16, we have a Manhattan. As I said, I'm following Difford's specs, and this is the Manhattan recipe that I was led to, which was touted to be a sweet Manhattan, given that it's got more bourbon as opposed to rye. Just chilling my mixing glass a little bit, and then measuring out 45 ml, 1.5 ounce of Turkey 101. Of course, glass set aside, chilling, ready to go for the cocktail. And rye whiskey. I'm using Rittenhouse rye, which is 51% rye. Half an ounce, 15 ml. And then 30 ml, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. Koki di Torino I'm using. And the recipe only calls for 1 dash of Angostura. This is a Japanese style dasher bottle, so triple it. 1, 2, 3. And then give it a stir for 20, 30 seconds, straight into chilled glass. And the recipe calls for some orange oils expressed over the top and discarded for garnishing with a maraschino cherry. There you have a Manhattan. All right, we're already a quarter of the way through and it's Jungle Bird time. So we're using a black rum, a dark rum. This is what I have on hand. Otherwise, if you have other options, you're more than welcome to use that. Dark Jamaican rum, Karuba Myers, something like that. So we have Campari, pineapple juice, lime juice, and rich syrup. Today's recipe calls for 45 ml, 1.5 ounces of your black rum. In my case, I'm using Gosling's, which is a Bermudan rum. Yeah, 15 ml, half an ounce of Campari, freshly pressed pineapple juice. It's out of a bottle. 45 ml, 1.5 ounce of pineapple juice, fresh lime. 15 ml, half an ounce of fresh lime juice. Should roughly be, it's going everywhere except into my jigger. Roughly half a lime, obviously depends on the size of your limes. And then we have a rich syrup, so 12.5 ml. Again, what is that? Just short of half an ounce. Recipes are in the PDF in the description below. Then plenty of ice, give it a shake, and then it gets transferred over fresh ice. Now, Jungle Bird garnish, I'd typically say a pineapple wedge, pineapple spears. I couldn't get a hold of any pineapples, and I'm out of pineapple spears that have been sitting in my freezer. So it leaves me with a lime wheel and a maraschino cherry. There you have a Jungle Bird. Time for a classic daiquiri. Nice and simple, 3 ingredients. A lightly aged rum. I'm using Plantation 3 because that is my absolute favorite light rum to use for a daiquiri. Fresh lime juice and a rich simple, which is a 2-to-1 ratio of sugar to water. Let's get to it. Yeah, the daiquiri. Simple, excellent cocktail. Make sure you use fresh lime juice. You can't use any store-bought lime reconstruct. You can't hide behind any ingredients here. You have to use good quality rum, good quality lime juice. Make sure your simple syrup is fresh, and make sure you got your specs down pat. Make sure you use a ratio that makes the cocktail really balanced. My favorite ratio is a 6:10 using a rich syrup. So this one is actually slightly different. It's close, but slightly different. So 50 ml, 1 2/3 ounce of lightly aged rum. Yeah, if you download the recipe in the PDF file, I'll leave notes to give feedback on the specs that I like as well. But because this is an top 20 list according to Difford's Guide, I thought I'd best stick to their specs. Half an ounce, 15 ml of fresh lime juice, and then 10 ml, 1/3 of an ounce of rich syrup. So it adds less water, really nice texture to the drink. Plenty of ice and give it a shake. Spread some lime oil over the top and discard. There you have a classic daiquiri. Cheers. Onto a French martini, and before all those martini purists try and call out this cocktail for not actually being a martini, we all know that. Just, yeah. Vodka, Chambord, French black raspberry liqueur, and pineapple juice. 3 ingredients. Another super easy cocktail. Because you're using pineapple juice, when you give it a shake, it'll give it a nice texture and nice froth on top. So 45 ml of your preferred vodka, Grey Goose. Chambord. I'm sure there's a lot of recipes out there with more Chambord, but this one calls for 15 ml, half an ounce. It's only going to give it a light blush color to it. Some out there you see, some French martinis you see that are really, really dark. And 45 ml, 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice. I realized I did the wrong measurement before you call me out. That was 60 ml, 2 ounces. So 60 ml, 2 ounces, 15 ml, half ounce, and 45 ml, 1.5 ounces, which is, you can see on the screen. And in the PDF attached. Add plenty of ice, give it a shake. And double strain into a chilled coupe. Well, another gripe I have with Difford's Guide is the photos are never the same as the cocktails. Now, I recall seeing this cocktail on their website. It was purple. That ain't purple. It's very faintly covered. There's no color to that French martini. I mean, the recipes I've tried in the past have been a full ounce, 30 ml of Chambord, so it would obviously give it a lot more color. Did I even put Chambord in it? I'm gonna have to go over the footage to check because that does not look like there's any in there. If you would like to garnish this one, pineapple wedge makes the most sense. Moving on to number 12, the whiskey sour. Now we're talking. Let's put this aside. So we have whiskey, lemon juice, bitters. Forgot my eggs. I'll be back. Okay, so it turns out I'm all out of eggs, which is exactly the reason why I keep Miss Better Bitter's Miraculous Foamer on hand. Super handy. Rich syrup as well. Don't forget that. And a saline solution. Nice big rocks glass. All right, so I'm using Wild Turkey 101. Bit of a higher proof at 50.5%. And the specs call for 60 ml, 2 ounces of bourbon whiskey. Then fresh lemon juice, 30 ml. 1 ounce, 20 ml, 2/3 of an ounce of rich syrup, 3 dashes of Angostura bitters. I believe the recipe actually called for spraying over the top. My atomizer's busted, so I'm going to triple that. So 3 threes, 9 dashes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then if you're using egg white, 15 ml, half an ounce of egg white, not too much. Oh, everything's breaking on me today. Otherwise, a dash of Miraculous Foamer and 2 drops of saline solution. This is a 4:1 ratio. 1:4 ratio, 1 part salt, 4 parts water, and it specifically calls for reverse dry shaking. So reverse dry shake is shaking with ice, straining it back into the tin. There's a bit of a debate about reverse dry shaking in my Facebook group, and it does produce a better foam. I typically don't do it just purely because there's no ice left in here. I've got my warm hands on the shaker. It could slightly warm up the cocktail, but probably not to a noticeable effect. Just a short dry shake, then pour that illustrious foamy drink over fresh ice. And the garnish for this one is a lemon wheel and a maraschino cherry. Whoa. Reverse dry shake for the win. How good. Cocktail number 11, the Paper Plane. Excited for this one because I thought I had or I thought I didn't have any Amaro Nonino, and I just stumbled across it on the shelf earlier today, which I'm excited about because I haven't had this drink for a long time. So we have bourbon. Take all these ingredients away. Bourbon whiskey, Amaro Nonino, beautiful liqueur, beautiful Amaro, and Aperol, and fresh lemon juice. It's an equal part recipe, 3/4 ounce of everything, shaken and served in a coupe glass. It's a simple drink, but super flavorful. You get that grapefruit note from the Aperol and that like that bitterness, the complexity from the whiskey and the Amaro Nonino. I'm getting excited. So glass set aside, chilling down to serve the drink, and then just equal measures. 3/4 ounce, 22.5 ml. I apologize. I know like literally every cocktail I switch between mils and ounces, what I say first, but the text is on screen, so hopefully you follow along. 3/4 ounce, 22.5 ml of Amaro Nonino. Such a good sipping Amaro. Warming, spices, vanilla, citrus. 3/4 ounce, 22.5 ml of Aperol, and then fresh lemon juice. Same again. 3/4 ounce, 22.5. Sam Ross drink, I believe. It's double strained into a coupe or into a Nicanora. I love the color of this one. Now you can do a nice twist, or you can do a coin, lemon coin, express the oils over the top and drop it in. There you have the paper plane. All right, so we're exactly halfway in the most popular cocktails according to the internet. I've put this into a 2-part series, so click on this video right here to continue watching and find out the top 10 most popular cocktails. See you in a sec.